Hey everybody, welcome to another Cricut craft tutorial. Before we get started, if you are into crafting, this is the channel for you. So make sure you subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon. That'll alert you to when I post a new video. Today I'm going to show you guys how we're going to make the memorial ornaments that are considered a floating ornament. You can see there is a piece of vellum in there. Now I know this is a little bit hard to see because of the lighting in this room. I have tried 100 times to get this to actually show you guys really clear what it is, but it is very difficult, and especially because of the design that the family had requested. The picture is very light, and that is how they wanted it. So that is how we made it. Now you can make them darker by using a darker photo, a color photo, or a black and white photo. Theirs was more of a sepia tone, and it was a pencil drawing from a friend of theirs. Now, you guys see that there are words and a cute little tree with a bird. I will link the tutorial down below for how to do this part. You guys do not have to do this part on your memorial ornaments. You could just have them as a plain floating ornament. But to do this, you only need a couple of things. You just need an ornament. You can use plastic or glass. This is a large plastic one. You can see it's pretty big, from the Dollar Tree. I did use regular black permanent vinyl, and then this, I don't know if you guys can see the glitter in it, but this is StarCraft Magic Deceit glitter vinyl. It is permanent from 651vinyl.com, and then I'm using a piece of vellum in the center for this, but you could use transparency film. Just remember that if you are cutting with anything but the maker, that you need to have something white behind it or it's not going to cut. So let's get over to Design Space, and I'm going to show you how you cut out the centerpiece for your ornament. We're ready to make the centerpiece for our memorial ornament. Now for this, it's going to depend on your photo. So for me, I have to add a little bit to the top of mine so that it does not cut the little girl's head off into the tip of your ornament, because you do need to have a little tip at the top to hold it in place. So what I need to do is I'm just going to go ahead over to my Word. I'm sure there's probably another way to do this, but this is just the way I found that worked really easily and didn't take me that much time. So I open up Word and I insert an image. So I'm just going to insert picture, and I'm going to find her picture in my Cricut folder. So I just need to go to my desktop, to my Cricut folder, and I titled it Kendall. So we're just going to go into that folder, and we're going to use this one because this is the one I haven't done anything to yet. So what we have to do now, because I need this white space at the top. Like I said, there could very well be an easier way to do it. I have no idea what it is. I have yet to find it. I've tried 100 different things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a snipping tool. So in Windows, it's if you search for it, you'll come up with it. Just search snipping. But I have mine pinned to the bottom because I use it a lot. So I'm just going to click on New, and I want to make sure that I do get a lot of the sides, and then I want a nice decent space at the top, and I want to make sure I get all the way to the bottom of the picture. So that's all we do there, and you're just going to save it. I've already saved this before, so we're just going to save this one as Ken D, and we'll go ahead and close it. You don't need to save this at all, so you can just get rid of it and go back over to your Design Space. So on your blank canvas, I want you to click Upload. And again, you'll see that I have uploaded this previously. Upload your image and click Browse to find it. And you know what you called it, so you just go and scroll down until you find your picture. So this is the one that we just saved. I choose Complex just so that it makes sure it keeps all the colors and stuff. If you choose Simple, it may black some stuff out. And you don't need to touch anything because we're going to save it as a print image. So it's right here on the left side. So click Save. And it takes a second. My print images usually take a second, and Design Space has been a little bit slow today. So select that image and then insert it. And it's going to look like just the regular picture without a lot of that white. And I'm going to blow it up bigger so you guys can see. But you can see we have a little bit white up here, which is what we needed for this picture. So next thing you're going to do is open your shapes, and you're going to open a circle. And I'm going to put that to the side. And then I need to open a rectangle. Well, a square in this case, but it will become a rectangle. Now, we've measured our ornament, and I will tell you that regardless of how hard I measured when I did this, I did have to do a little playing around. to figure out exactly what size it was. So I did cut this on regular copy paper a couple of times before I found the exact right sizing, but you can at least get an idea of about how close you need to be just by measuring your ornament across. So when I measured mine, I ended up with about little under 4 wide, and it was about 3.5 deep. So I know by expanding this, I'm gonna end up with too big of an up and down on it. So make sure you unlock your circle, and you know that you can do about 3.9 wide. And then I know that the height, which is going to be this direction for a circle, is going to be about 3.5. Now, again, I only know this because I've already previously done this. Now, I accidentally did this backwards for you guys, so keep that in mind. You may want to just double check it when you do this. I just did it backwards. Your height on a circle is apparently a little bit different. And this is just a little bit weird, so you're going to have to play with it. Like I said, sometimes you may just have to expand a little bit. Just do it by yourself, by hand. And then for the top, it's okay if your top is a little bit too small. It's just to hold your ornament in place. So don't worry too much if your square is just a little bit too big. You can always trim it in, like on your, like once you put it into your ornament, you can always trim it down if you need to. So it's not a big deal because you really don't see that part. So what you need to do is get your little tippy top and your circle, and you're going to weld them together. Now, you'll see that it's taking up not a lot of the picture, and I want it to take up a pretty decent amount. I at least want to get part of her dress in here because this is a really like important picture to her family. So somebody hand drew this, which I thought was really nice. So you just want to make sure that your circle, and because it's easy to see kind of where her head would be and the edge, it makes this a lot easier because, again, we don't want to cut off the top of her head. So all we're going to do is put that picture and the circle together, and you want to select them both. Now, you can do this one of two ways. You can click on your ornament and then hold Control on your keyboard and click on the photo, or you can draw a square around them and it selects them both. You can also do Select All up here at the top, and you can also come over here to your Layers tab and click on both while holding Control. There's a couple ways to do it. And this is where slice comes in. Remember, you can only slice 2 things, so that's why you need to make sure that you weld your ornament. So let's go ahead and click slice. And what you should end up with is the ornament template, the new ornament, and then the leftover picture. We don't need this anymore, and we don't need this anymore. So I'm just going to double check my sizing, which I made way too big. I can see that now. So what I'm going to show you guys, I have the project already pre-made. So again, it was just a lot of messing around with the sizing, and it really is just trial and error. There doesn't seem to be like an exact answer to like what size fits. So play around with it a little bit. Just be prepared that you're going to need to trial and error it just a little bit. So we have her photo done, and all we're going to do now is go ahead and click Make It, and it's going to bring up the black box and her photo. Now, it's going to look like we're not going to get that tab cut out, but trust me, it will cut out. So click Continue, and I'm going to go turn my printer on because I just remembered I didn't, and it's going to tell me that there's no printer if I don't turn it on. So when you do this, I'll turn my Cricut on too because it's probably going to yell at me if I don't do that as well. When you do this, you're going to send it to your printer. I'm going to show you what paper we're going to use. Sorry, my maker's turning on. It's so loud. We are going to use vellum for this. A lot of people have been using like transparency paper. I find the vellum gives it kind of a foggy look, which is the look I was going for because I really wanted it to look like she was floating there like a little angel. So we really wanted to do something that was just a little bit more of a foggy look. So when you come over here, you want to make sure you select your printer, and you want to make sure you leave bleed on. If you turn bleed off when you cut, you may end up with just a little bit of white on the edging. So leave your bleed on. It doesn't really make a difference. And then I'm going to click print. Mine is going to, I'm going to actually cancel that so you guys can see it. Hold on one second. I'm going to make it mad. I just realized I want to show you guys it printing. So it's going to yell at me and say prepare to print. Let me get rid of this. We're just going to go back to printed, and we're going to send it back to printers. So don't worry about it. We're just going to go ahead and delete that. If you do something like that where you're like, oh shoot, I don't want to print it, just go to your printer and just cancel the print. It's no big deal. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So let me get you guys over to the printer so that I can show you guys. I want to show you the vellum and how to load it and what kind of printer we're using. So we're using a Canon Pixma, and everybody always asks. It is an MG 3022. It is an inkjet printer. That is the one thing I want to make sure you guys know. I use inkjet because 99% of the stuff you're going to use as far as like printable vinyl, printable HTV is usually for an inkjet printer. So what we're using today is vellum. And vellum is a little bit of like a heavier paper, but it's opaque, so you can't really totally see through it unless you hold it up to a light. With this, you don't have to worry about which way you load it because it doesn't matter. It can print on either side. So we're going to send it to the printer over at the computer. And I'm just going to go ahead and click print over here, just like I showed you. And then it's going to print this. Now, the one thing I want to warn you, you're going to need to let it sit once it has printed your design. You're going to want to let it sit for a moment because the ink will still be wet. I made the mistake of loading it directly into my maker, like as soon as it did it, and I smudged the lines. It wasn't a big deal. It did still cut, but it got ink everywhere, and it was just kind of a mess. So don't do that. That's a big no-no. But I will show you as soon as it comes out. I'll grab it from the other side so you guys can kind of get a look at what it looks like when it comes out of your printer. And the beautiful thing is with this, it doesn't use a ton of ink, which I really like. I really like this printer. I've been using it for about a year. I've only replaced the black ink once, and I have yet to replace the color. So here is, now again, I'm not going to touch it because the black is still wet, but you can kind of see, and it's a little hard to see right now because I don't have a lot of light back here, but you can see that she is in fact printed on here. Now, if you did a black and white photo, you would have probably a deeper look than what this is giving. This is a hand-drawn pencil drawing, so it's not going to be a super deep line. So let's get this dried off, and then I'll show you guys it cutting on the machine. We've gone ahead and printed, so we're back over to our design space screen because we need to set our material. Now on the maker, it brings up all your options on the screen. If you are using the Explore Air 2, you'll need to set yours to custom, and then you'll get the set material screen. So we're going to browse all materials. And I find the easy way to do this, if you know exactly what your material is called, you can just search it. So I'm just going to search vellum, which I just type in the first couple letters. And this is what we're going to use. We're going to use vellum, and I'm actually going to add this to one of my favorites. And you can do that by just clicking the star. What that does is it'll bring it up on that screen. And I use a lot of vellum, so it's perfect to just add it to the front screen. You can go ahead and click done, and it's going to tell you what tools you need. I don't need anything in my clamp A. I need my fine point blade in clamp B, and we can load the mat and press the load button. So I'm going to take you back over to the machine so we can watch it cut. I've loaded my vellum onto my blue mat. Now with this, I would use a slightly stickier blue mat than maybe a used one because the vellum, while it sticks okay, if for some reason it bumps at all, it gets stuck in the machine and it's really bad. So always make sure that your machine is far enough away from the wall that you're not going to bump into too much stuff. And we'll go ahead and load our mat. And we're going to click the little go guy, and it's going to pull it all the way in and push it all the way back. And then because it's the maker, what it's going to do is it's going to go ahead and read our lines. And you can cut with the maker. You can do colored paper. You can do clear paper. It doesn't have to be white. With your Explore Air 2, it probably will cut the vellum because it's foggy. But if you're using transparency, it will not cut it. You have to put something white behind your black lines. Now what it's doing is it's checking its tool because this does have the adaptive tool. And what you're going to do, you'll see, it's just going to go ahead and cut out our circle and our little lip. I will tell you guys, this is pretty quick cut, so it doesn't take much. I have, like I said, I let it dry, so it's no big deal if we touch it now. And all we got to do now is just pull it off. Now, I have pretty much torn the vellum every time I've done this. So I don't really fret too much if it rips a little bit, but maybe this time we won't. Maybe this time it'll come off in one whole piece. Look at that. Now usually I don't ever use this. It's all curled up. It's not really worth using. But what you want to do is be careful with this because you don't want to get it curly. So what you can do is set your mat upside down and take your mat and peel it back so that instead of peeling the paper from the mat, you're actually pulling the mat from the paper. Now it does have a bit of a curl to it, but that's okay. And make sure you replace, I've seen a lot of people talk about this lately, I always replace my plastic back on my mats and I hang them on my wall on a hook. That way they don't get all the dog hair, the cat hair, the dust, the glitter, because God knows that we get glitter all over in this crafting world. I will say the first few times you do this, it doesn't always line up quite right, so it does take a little bit of practice. And usually what I'll do is I fold it in half and then I just line up the little hole thing with the hole on the actual mat. It just works pretty well. You're gonna line it up that way regardless. So, and then you can just hang it back on your wall. So let's go ahead and get our ornament and then we can get this put in and I'll show you guys how to do that. It's really easy. Now, if you guys have not seen, I do have the tutorial on how to do this part with the bird and the tree and the words. So that tutorial I will link below. Just don't put the glitter inside. If you put the glitter inside, it's going to be a big mess. And I'm going to show you guys really quick because I didn't realize how many people did not know this. So to get the tops off of ornaments, super easy. Hold the top down, so hold the round part, and pull up on the loop. And that just pops your ornament out and it leaves you with this. Now with these Dollar Tree ones, I do find that they tend to pop while they're just sitting on your table. So pop it back that way before you do anything else. Now with your vellum, you're just going to gently, and I do mean gently, roll it up and just roll it just enough that it fits into the top. And you're just gonna slide it back in. And you'll see it's gonna wiggle around a whole bunch in there, and that's okay because what's gonna hold it together and where it's gonna sit is your top, your lid. So we're just gonna do this again. We're just gonna pull it gently, and then we're gonna make sure that we have our little decal or our little transparency right where we want it. And we're gonna set this down. And you can always use a little piece of glue to help you keep this. Now, I know there's a big glare on this, and I don't know how well you guys can see this because of that glare. Let me see if I can lessen the glare a little bit. I might just need to turn this light off completely. Let me try that and see. There you go, that helps. So you can see her in here. Now, this is believe the back side of the vellum, and then this is probably the front side. Now I can turn it so that you guys can see a little bit better too, so that the tree's not in the way. It's just really hard to get this on an actual film, but in real life this is nice and dark. You can see her very, very well in this. But again, the family did request it to be more of just a subtle look and not so bright and so obviously, you know, there. They wanted her to be sort of a little bit less bright and a little more subdued. I think that you guys can handle these. These are so fun, so easy to do. Like I said, you can add a little piece of tape or glue to the top. So if you don't want this thing to spin around like mine is, it is spinning a little bit, you can just add a little dab of glue right in here, and then you can just glue her right to that, and it will hold her so that she isn't wiggling around at all and that she does stay in place. Now, as it sits, it will uncurl a little bit more. It is still a little bit curled from pulling it or putting it in the bulb. So you'll see there's a little curl to it, but it will uncurl as you make this and wait it out. But yeah, if you want to just put a little dab of glue in there, that's absolutely okay. It just, you can see that if you hold it, it keeps it from rolling around too much. So it just makes it a little bit easier. I hope you guys had a good time learning how to make this. I think these are one of those gifts that are very, very special. They will probably be a cherished item for your family or your friends who maybe have lost a loved one. They are probably one of the more emotional things that I will make a tutorial on. This one especially, this little girl was only about 5 years old and she passed away from cancer just recently. So, you know, her family, obviously, it's still very raw for them. But if you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Make sure you subscribe to my channel because I put out new videos all the time. If you guys would like to hit that bell icon, that would be awesome because that tells you when I post a new video. I hope you guys had a great, great time learning how to make this. Happy crafting.